What is going on, everyone? Welcome to week 2. Dave and a Dan. Dave is here. He's made it to the show. Dans were everywhere last night. A lot of Dans had a bad night on Thursday Night Football. I really thought last night that, like, the Vegas casino owners, they're all hungover today. Every single last one of them. They were out celebrating, spending every single last Dan's dollar. Oh, did you take Tyreek Hill? They got your money. Did you take Jalen Waddle? They got your money. Did you take Josh Allen? Anything? They got your money. They got everyone's money. It was a raker's delight for them. And they're enjoying it, but I'll be damned, which is why I needed to talk to Dave, who had some great sniffs last week. And, they had all the girls, they were all talking about Dave. They were all talking about Dave and how he went on about Saquon Barkley. And yeah, that's right. Week 1, I was all over the road. And next week, we'll get my guy Alex back. But I said, you know what? I kind of screwed the viewers last week. Let me get a couple graphics ready. Here it is. And this is what Dave gave us last week on the show. He came through big time with those Friday sniffs and all those U.S. Open chicks. They were all asking about him. But I said, he's off the market. I'm on the market. And they said, not with that Jeff Wilson garbage, you're not. And Dave, happy to have you back for week 2 of the show.
You had some good ones last week too, though. And look, I'm not trying just to reciprocate to, because I'm on your show, but because the rookie running backs last week, right? Blake Corum, you were all over the under rushing attempts there. I went under rushing yards. He had none, but he played special team snaps, so it counted, which was great. They didn't void that.
Yeah, can you let people know the rule, by the way?
What, did we just fade?
No. The rule of I bet Blake Corum under. Are they going to pay me? Are they not going to? What's the typical rule? Because there are Dans out there. They want to know.
Depends on the books, but you just have to play a snap. Like, you don't have to touch the ball or anything.
Yes, I believe that's the rule as well. Yeah. So if you see a guy running out there on special teams, then he's probably going to be, you're going to be credited with that win. Although I saw something weird on the Draftkings pick'em thing where somebody, I don't know, that's for another day.
Well, see, this is what I'm saying though, right? Because there are certain books that find sketchy ways to void bets, right? But
that's what life is. Scammed if you do, scammed if you don't, man.
Yeah.
But
Braylon Allen, another one. I ended up hammering that one right earlier because they didn't have a line until later. He wouldn't have seen. We're lucky there was garbage time in that game because he went under his 11.5 yards. You and I talked a lot about, like, hey, when these backup unknown running backs are getting, props, usually the under, and obviously it's all relative to what the number's at, but like, how about Ray Davis for Buffalo, Trey Benson? Every rookie running back that had a prop in week 1 went under.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes sense. Like, you don't know, can they handle the third down assignments? Are they going to use them? It's usually they just want to give them like one series. Let's see who this guy is. And then looking at the receivers here, obviously everybody was talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. and you got by through the skin of your teeth, you rat bastard. You got through with the Malik Neighbors. You go, who are they going to target? Wan'Dale Robinson with his double-digit targets?
No, I knew you were going to pull this shit. He played.
Yo, hold on. I want to first say I will destroy anybody if they deserve it. Dave, from top to bottom, if you think he threw out the Cowboys, correct. The Eagles had the right read on nearly everything, and he even ended up being right about this. But if you just look at the board, skin of the teeth, you got through that one.
You're not wrong. Well, what was it, 59.5? We got 66. Yeah. Some would say skin of the teeth. Some would say easy cover, but I'll leave that to you. Look, here's what I'm saying. Neighbors played 100% of snaps and ran a route on 100% of dropbacks. So, yes, you're right. Wan'Dale Robinson.
Keon Coleman?
What's that?
Like Keon Coleman, something like that.
Or Coleman played 72% of snaps, ran a route on 90%. But yes, he was still Coleman, even in a low passing, and then he was targeted once when it didn't matter in yesterday's game. But All I'm saying, like, Neighbors sketched me out a little bit. I'm thinking, is he not going to, I think he had 55 at halftime or something. I mean, he was cruising. It was looking like we were going to hit the ladder play on that, which I had bet up. But look, you're right. Wandale still got involved, but we got there in his first game.
Yeah.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
I'll just say, look, you're 100% correct. However you get, my uncle always said, like, oh, what happened? I don't know. Sorry, I didn't watch. I checked the paper. Looks like I won. That's what, anytime somebody comes some bulls, I give him the Uncle Bobby line. But what I said last week was this guy can ruin a prime Calvin Johnson. And I swear to you, I stand by that. You have
you're
the
right.
Giants fans waiting in the parking lot just to heckle the guy. So that's going to be very interesting to see. I mean, they're playing Washington this week. Let's hope Neighbors can kind of
I'm going right back.
Can kind of keep that going. And then aside from the rookie running backs not playing well and the rookie wide receivers underperforming, how about the quarterback? How about just every single quarterback in the NFL? And, this is the best I'm doing with my DJing here, but this was like heading into last Monday night. Look at the opening touchdowns for week 1. I just want to say, if you watched the league a mere 10 years ago, Jay Cutler would be better than almost all of these quarterbacks. What the hell is going on? What is college giving us? I know in the workforce, they're giving us a bunch of donkeys. Is it also that way in the quarterback force as well? These quarterbacks are brutal.
There were 9 quarterbacks last week that threw for 0 touchdowns. If you took all 32 quarterbacks, I'm not including, Malik Willis coming in or Tyrod Taylor late in that game. There were 9 quarterbacks that threw 2+ touchdowns. That's it. Baker threw 4. He had a fantastic game. I was actually on Mike Evans' 2+ touchdowns at 10-1 there, so that was nice late in that one. Derek Carr, I didn't pull that till Friday though, or till Saturday for what it's worth. Derek Carr had 3, and then Richardson, Allen, Darnold, Stroud, Hurts, and Love. All of them had so that's only 8, right? So there were only 8 quarterbacks with 2+ touchdowns last week. That's just pitiful.
I mean, Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, who a couple of years ago, it's like, these guys, you don't get much worse than that. In a small fraction of time have now become the upper echelon. I've told people many times, I feel like I was a 90s dirtbag. I haven't changed much. And people now say, oh, Andy, you're a good guy. Like, I had that party and you showed up to it. Everyone's turned into such a rat bastard that the old prick is the new, he's a good guy. That's kind of what happened with quarterbacks. Yep. The walls have all moved around. I mentioned to Dave, this is from last year, and I meant to show it to you and have a conversation about it, and I just completely forgot, but I still had the graphic because I wanted to talk to you about how quarterbacks, do you remember it would, almost every single good quarterback, they would go to the line of scrimmage, see what the defense is doing. There would be a series of audibles, get one matchup they like, somebody like Edelman, little 5-yard out, and then that turns into a first down. Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, all of them manipulating the line of scrimmage. Who are we down to? Rodgers and Stafford? I feel like these new idiots just walk up to the line of scrimmage. They go, well, that's what they're doing. We know what we're doing. Here we go. It's like we're watching a bunch of idiots up there.
I don't know if this is setting a precedent for the future, though. I mean, the game is catered now towards quarterbacking and towards the passing game. So I think we may have just hit a lull. I'm not convinced that this is just the future of football.
Maybe it's just because, obviously Mahomes is great, but I think maybe everyone's looking for there's so many dual threat quarterbacks coming in.
Well, that's
that maybe you feel compelled. You feel compelled to have one as well.
That's also a good point. That's another reason why you're seeing a lot less passing touchdowns for sure. Yeah, but I still think your overall point is well heard. There's a lot of bad quarterbacks in the league. Bryce Young is terrible. Daniel Jones is terrible. Now, is it possible that, and like, look, Joe Burrow, I don't know what to make of him right now. He didn't throw a touchdown last week. Is it possible that guys like Bo Nix end up being good, or, Caleb Williams ends up being really good, or Jaden Daniels ends up being really good? Maybe we have if this crop of quarterbacks coming to the league, many of whom, are expected to, like, hey, there's a good group of quarterbacks. If they don't get it done, then I don't know who is, because it's been ugly. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of rushing quarterbacks out there. And Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr can't be the face of the NFL,
A decade ago, this weekend, we'd be watching Peyton Manning versus Big Ben. And now we get a little Bo Nix and Justin Fields for some solid quarterbacking. I thought I would take some of these topics here and roll them into maybe a game, see if we can find something. We have the Broncos, Bo Nix heavily criticized, against the Steelers, who, no matter what, year after year, doesn't matter if it's Trubisky back there, they'll eke their way out to these defensive victories and always hover around 500. They got Justin Fields in there. What's your feeling on this game right here?
So I grabbed the Broncos on Tuesday at 3 because I don't like Mike Tomlin is an absolute, he's the GOAT when it comes to winning as a dog, and I made the mistake last week of, well, it's not really fair. I bet the Falcons last week before the Russell Wilson injury news came out. Had it been Fields, like, I'm just so down on Russell Wilson that I'll bet. I swear I'll bet against this guy every time if it's going to be like short dog or short favorite. But you also have to respect Mike Tomlin, and we saw that last week. We also saw Kirk Cousins could not plant that back foot coming off the Achilles. Like, that was a big thing too, right? But this week, coming into Denver in the altitude, I'm not acting like Denver's a good team, but there is one thing that stands out to me in a big way. And you're right. Pittsburgh wins on the back of their defense. So, a pick six or a scoop and score could flip the entire script of this game, and nothing I'm saying matters. But if there is a team that's kind of uniquely designed, despite all of their flaws in rebuilding, to completely stop this offense for the Steelers, it's Vance Joseph's Broncos. Because think about this. Patrick Surtain, like one of the most physical and sticky corners in the league. I was saying this last week against Seattle. Why would you not just, like, he shadowed Metcalf last week, and they do have complementary pieces in Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett, all of those guys. Why would you not just shadow George Pickens? Because who else do they have? Calvin Austin, like Van Jefferson. They don't have
Van Jefferson tour 2024.
Crazy, right? And like, sure, you might have Roman Wilson back, but the guy has not seen a field since the 30th of July. And the run game, Jaylen Warren's not 100% yet. Najee Harris got 20 carries, was wildly ineffective, as he has been, because they don't have good run blocking on that team. I just think you can completely silence them. This sounds crazy, too. There's such a low total. There are some 37s out there. I'm almost tempted to go under 37 in this game, too. I don't know where the points come from unless it's on defense.
Those are all great points. I believe I would take the same exact side. I would like that +3 as well. If I'm already at +2.5, then at that point, just give me the money line +124 if I'm going to be doing this now. I've always liked week 2 home opener teams. People tend to forget it, and I really like week 3 home opener teams for those teams who had to start on the road for the first 2 games. A lot of times you'll see a team go on the road, lose week 1. Now they're an awful team. They come home. It's game 1. The worst teams you've ever seen in your life can win week 1. When Jacksonville won 1 game, guess when it was? Week 1. I mean, during their home opener. So a home opener in Denver, I feel like they've had a bunch of big wins over the Steelers in Denver. Obviously, there's that classic Tim Tebow game, but I like the Broncos here. Something to definitely look for in this game. Bo Nix is known as a check down quarterback, And Jaleel McLaughlin, who had more of the backfield than anybody anticipated. So we won't even get that random single series of Audric Estime. So you're looking at Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin. He had 5 or 6 catches, which I definitely thought that would be the case, but for a absurd 1 yard. So you obviously know there are multiple plays in there to get McLaughlin in space on a short pass. I have a feeling they'll be crafted a little bit more cleverly this week, and he should be able to hit his. Now, look, last week it was 11.5. Now it's all the way up, probably 16, 17.5. So I haven't seen the receptions. They weren't listed last night before I looked for some of the picks on here. Just something to think about, knowing how frequently he was on the field and how often Bo Nix tends to check the ball down.
Well, I like this. Also, we saw Atlanta last week do that a lot with Bijan Robinson as well against this same Steelers defense.
Yeah, and he was successful doing that. Is he a little bit better? Yes, but we don't need an absurd amount, just a couple little dinky checkdowns, and there you go. Now, you are, in my eyes, you're a representative of the fantasy community, the sports betting NFL community, and I texted you earlier this week. I said, you have to explain to me, because I think too frequently the consensus on people, they'll just drive regular players off of a cliff year after year with the same assholes. And then I just feel like there needs to be a public tomato shaming where we get to somehow virtually throw tomatoes at a congregation of individual who has screwed us more than once. We'll let you screw us once. Don't you dare bring me back to that poisonous, snake-filled area and then say it's fine this time. We had people come in and we had it emptied out. You're going to be fine. And then we get snake bitten yet again. And I'm talking about these two assholes, Chris Olave, Drake London, literally being drafted as like top 10 receivers. Some of the, they're better than all those. No, you don't need to take Cooper Kupp. You don't need to take it. You can have Drake London, who's maxed out at 850 yards. But no, he's got Kirk Cousins, and now you see what he did in that. Yeah, I did see what he did healthy with Justin Jefferson in an offense where the offensive coordinator structured everything perfectly, and now Sam Darnold looks exactly the same. But now you got a dinky, torn Achilles old guy playing in pistol, throwing to a guy who got 2 targets or 3 targets in a game. Why is London going to be any different this year? And have they screwed people yet again?
It's so hard to say. I kind of bought into that a little bit. Far less on the Chris Olave hype, because I'm very down on Derek Carr. But with London a little bit, and it's tough to say because you have to separate like season-long fantasy football, like redraft leagues, from best ball. Because in best ball, you look at this and you're like, if this team pops off, it's a great stack because you have Pitts and you have London and all of these guys. But you get rid of Arthur Smith, you bring in Zach Robinson, who, he's with the Rams under McVay. You're like, hey, this guy, all right, there should be something here. And also, I think 1 week is a bit of an overreaction. Pittsburgh does have a good defense. Kirk Cousins in his first. What's that?
It is. It
like
is
Cousins in his first action in God knows how long. So why don't we revisit this a few weeks from now, and we can see if any of that clown makeup wore off. But I would say right now, Drake London's ADP, and I'm not going to pretend that I didn't buy into it. Like I said, best ball, not season long. I think it's entirely different. But I would say I probably drafted Drake London earlier than I probably should have. I don't disagree that people get hyped. They steam guys because of the situation. And I'm partially responsible. I think everyone, to some extent, is, not without guilt when it comes to having players that they kind of overvalue or undervalue too much to the point where they're over or under drafting them too much.
Well, I don't want you to feel too bad, because one of those two guys, I did see reason for optimism because minimum 1,000 yards, both seasons. The trajectory was upward, missed a couple games. If he played the full season, he would have looked at like a 1,400 yard season. Had a bad week one in an absolute beating, but this is a guy who has no Michael Thomas competing with him anymore. I don't hate him as much as London, and I think there's going to be the quote-unquote squeaky wheel narrative, and one of the bets I'm going to be giving out this weekend is Chris Olave. Early in the week, it was like 56.5. I think it's at 58.5. It's high 50. Who knows? It probably will get to 60. These things really tend to move when it comes to the player props if people hop on them early. But in a game where they're going to be underdogs, and now we'll talk about the game in a little bit, I mean, you're talking about the one talented receiver on this Saints squad in a game. They'll potentially be down a touchdown if you want to trust the spread.
I like that quite a bit. I could see the squeaky wheel narrative there for sure. They're going to have to throw. I'm on Alvin Kamara over 4.5 receptions as well. I got that at plus 112. It's moved. It's like minus 112 now, but I still think it's a good enough bet. And you could probably find better odds on that. Go look at like BetMGM or one of those. You probably get better odds. But to your squeaky wheel point, well taken. For me with Kamara, I look at it and I go, last week, when they have a comfortable lead, or even when they're playing in a competitive game where they might have a small lead, Kamara is just not a focal point of the passing game. The moment this team starts to go behind and needs to throw, Alvin Kamara immediately becomes involved. Last year, Kamara didn't play every game. But
take your focus off Kamara, by the way, because you're touching on a topic I've just been screaming from the hilltops for years, and it's the check down king, Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Any sort of position when he needs to move the ball and needs to get up the field, millions of check downs. Remember Melvin Gordon?
Yep.
RB1 Melvin Gordon
exactly.
getting a million catches from the second Derek Carr, Phillip Rivers. All these Carr guys always will have catches the same way Phillip Rivers running backs have dinky catches. Last year you saw Kamara have millions. And if you think they're going to be trailing, that over 4.5 is absolutely hitting.
I mean, look, that's the problem. Game scripts are predictable in the sense that we see they're almost touchdown dogs, but weird shit happens, right? So if they're not trailing, here's the cool thing about this, though. If they're not trailing, he can still get there. It's not like Kamara didn't ever have, decent receiving games when they won, but it is true. Of the 7 games they lost, he cleared this number 6 times. He averaged 7.7 receptions on 9 targets per game in games where they lost. The only time he didn't go over was when they were facing the Atlanta Falcons, and it was a 2-point game going into the fourth quarter. So that's not like, they lost, but they weren't really trailing, right? So when you look at the games where they were actually trailing, Tampa, Houston, Jacksonville, Minnesota, Detroit, Rams, 5 receptions, 14 targets, 12 receptions, 13 receptions on 14 targets. So I don't care about Kamara's 50% snap share last week. They routed Carolina. I expect them to, in the event that they need him, be on the field a whole lot more than last week. I like that spot as well for this game.
So it looks like me and you got a couple of pass catchers there, one being a running back, one being a receiver. Let's see how that one goes.
They can coexist.
100%. I mean, to me, those are the two guys catching. Like if Derek Carr has 15 completions, they have 13 of them.
Yeah,
so,
I hope.
With the 2 deep shots to Shaheed.
One of which he'll catch for a 60-yard touchdown every time.
Yeah, his efficiency is pretty amazing. As you can see on your screen there, I guess on DraftKings, 88% on Dallas. I don't know if that's combining the money line and the spread, but I thought I would show you this, where last week, I think like 4 out of the 5 most heavily bet team. Just call this. This guy says week 2 NFL lopsided sides at DK Sportsbook. Just call this Dan's at DK. These are the Dan bets of the day. Eagles, Chargers, Ravens. I see all these ones, and one that I kind of want to.
I like a couple.
One I want to move to. I think I see it on the bottom there. Talk about this a little bit, and that is the Jets and the Titans. Dan sees this. He goes, the Jets? Oh, did you see how bad the Titans were? They couldn't even beat Chicago. Williams played bad. They're coming home, and now Jets had a bad week 1. They're going to kill them. I think Dan's are all over the Jets as kind of that graphic illustrated. What's your take on this game right here? I mean, that to me, they are just baiting you. That's the stake in the woods. Do you see that 3.5? That is a stake in the woods, and you are starving. But I promise you, those tribesmen, they're waiting behind the trees. They got the spears ready. They're sharpened. You're going to be Ace Ventura, taking it right in the thigh from the Wachutus.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Kind of like the Jets.
That's fine. You can see what I'm saying? It just looks like they're begging us to click that.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think they wanted you to take Miami last night too. Okay, so I said this on one of my betting videos over at oddshopper.com, by the way, if you ever, or Oddshopper on YouTube, oddshopper.com, if you ever wanted to check it out.
I'll put a link down below, and then at the end of the video, their channel will pop up.
Appreciate it. So I said in the video that I will reevaluate everything about the Jets if I'm wrong in this spot. I think that's fair. Like, I will go back to the drawing board on the Jets if they can't find a way to have a decisive victory in this game. A couple reasons. Because I don't disagree with you. This game was kind of tough for me. Certainly not one of my favorites. Let's be clear there. Brian Callahan's a rookie head coach. I had a couple bad reads yet last week when it came to spreads with some dogs where I thought, hey, they should be better than they were last year. Giants particularly. I really thought they could win that game. I didn't believe in Sam Darnold, but Kevin O'Connell's a witch doctor because he turned them into – the guy couldn't miss a pass. But the Titans game, I have no regrets. Like, I would bet the Titans 1,000 times out of 1,000 again in that spot. Going up 17-0 and not only losing outright, but losing to the spread when the opponent doesn't have an offensive touchdown is just like, we might not ever see that again. 2 interceptions, a lost fumble, a pick 6. Okay, the Jets defense on their run defense was concerning last week, right? Like, definitely raised some eyebrows.
Yeah.
But that's Kyle Shanahan's offense. Even without McCaffrey, Mason was great. I still think they have an elite secondary, a well above average pass rush, even without Hassan Reddick. And I think they'll figure some things out on defense in the run game. You know, just looking at this game with Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and look, shout out to the Jarius Sneed and the defensive line for Tennessee. I'm not taking anything away from them, but I definitely think that the Jets are the better team here. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I will revisit this going into week 3.
I even wouldn't put that much stock into it if they lose. Do you remember how bad the Bucs looked with Brady straight through the bye and like almost like week 10, week 11? I mean, they got destroyed week 1 by New Orleans, and then they hit their stride at the very end. Not even like I remember they had like 4 cupcake matchups to end the year. Yep. They ended up winning them. Looked awful against Washington in round 1, weaseled by. Looked a little better against New Orleans, but their D got them that game. And then against Green Bay, found their stride, Super Bowl beating of like the 15-1 Kansas City Chiefs. So there's plenty of time to iron out the issues. I wouldn't even be too concerned if the Jets lose this game. I always did have this theory with quote unquote elite defenses. I saw Kyle Orton be the quarterback of the Denver Broncos. They were giving up 40 points a game. Tim Tebow takes over week 4. They never let up double-digit points again. I have a theory that your D plays to what they think your quarterback is going to do. And the minute Rodgers drove down that field and scored, like if you look at the first drive, they're holding Purdy. They're getting on Purdy. They're getting him to get rid of the ball. Then as soon as the Jets move down the field and score those points, it's like, all right, we're going to be able to score points in this game. Like, there's a mentality shift, and I just see it time after time when a quarterback takes over. So they have that great defense in Denver, then Peyton comes there, Peyton Manning, and now all of a sudden they're giving up, all these points again. It's so weird how that works. I'm convinced that if Zach Wilson started that game the other night, Jets are giving up like 18 points.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can buy that.
I know. Hey, you get wild theories, but just remember this years down the road when a good quarterback goes to an elite defense. Let's see.
Well, maybe we'll get lucky and Rodgers just won't be good, right? I don't know.
I think I'm one of the few guys rooting for him. He entertains me a lot.
No, I meant maybe we'll get lucky and he won't be good, so the Jets defense will be good again. I'm rooting for Rodgers in a big way, man. You know why one of the reasons is because I desperately want to see guys like Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson reach their potential. I just think they're fantastic players. And, you get a guy in Wilson who had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons to start off his rookie season or his rookie career or his NFL career, sorry. And his quarterbacks were Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle and Trevor Siemian and Mike White and pre-Cleveland Browns Joe Flacco. 1,000 yards in back-to-back years as a rookie and a sophomore player. How could you not be rooting for him? By the way, if you listen to him speak and you listen to him speak to the media, such a likable and cerebral guy. And Breece Hall is awesome too. I'm rooting for all of them. Last week was a big disappointment.
Absolutely. But it happens. I would also expect Rodgers to not be so scared. Like, he did look like, let me get this out of my hand. I think that stuff will calm down. Yeah. And he didn't look like, he kind of rolled out a little bit on some to try to avoid a sack. So I'm encouraged with Rodgers. Going back to the Dan board, you said you saw one or two that kind of stuck out to you. I actually see one more, and this is something that we had to talk about. Just wanted to kind of see where your head was at on this one, and that's going to be, what do we call the 4:00 game that everybody watches? It's like the quasi primetime game.
I believe it's actually called the game of the week.
And this is the Chiefs and the Bengals. T. Higgins probably not going to be playing. Hollywood Brown just got put on IR, so we're going to see whatever version of the Chiefs we saw last week. What are you thinking here with this game?
Andy Reid's just so constantly full of shit, isn't he? It's incredible, that guy. Like, Hollywood Brown's progressing well. He's getting close. IR. He would say, I bet on the preseason a lot. I think the edge there is more considerable by far than the regular season. People, you should see the comments, Andy. You degenerate moron. Like, I get so many comments that are just, you're a pathetic degenerate asshole, and all this stuff. So Andy Reid every year in week one is like, so the starters will get a quarter. That's what he says. The starters will get a quarter, and then the other guys will get to play. Every season, the starters play one drive. And then in week two, he goes, starters will get the first half, and every season the starters get between like 3/4 of a quarter to a 1 quarter, and then they're out every single time, usually 2 drives. He's just, look, this is totally, it doesn't matter to this game, but Andy Reid fascinates me more than anybody else. I love that guy.
People shouldn't call you a degenerate for finding like an edge there.
Well, these people are idiots, though.
I will make fun of people who bet on preseason just in the way, but I do it in an ignorant fashion. Like, you think I feel like tracking like these fifth and tendencies of teams in their preseason and when? But if you want to actually microanalyze all that, of course there is. I was actually going to bring this up before we talk about this game quick. On Monday, I was waiting for the Jordan Mason rushing yards to hit. So I was waiting for them to like hit the market. They weren't available. And this is when Christian McCaffrey, it's like, he's going to be limited, this, that, and the other. So it's like McCaffrey's rushing yards were limited, but still there's a random point throughout the day where the additional markets, where the Kenneth Gainwell over 3.5 receiving yards will pop on Friday. It wasn't there Thursday, but By the way, I texted you a couple months ago saying I got a great idea for the product. I'm not going to do any of it. I'm like one of those people who says, I got this app. You do this and blah, blah, blah. And when somebody comes out with it, you go, I should be a millionaire. Oh, but you didn't invest any of the money and go through any of the hardship with releasing it? Yeah, you definitely deserve it. Oh, that kills me when people say they had an idea that's out there. I said 50 other people did too. Guess what happened? It failed at some point along the way. This was the one that made it out of the bunch.
Somebody had to balls to finance it and then get a prototype and then market it. Yeah, no, but you should get half of what he has, of course. Yes.
So
welcome to the Soviet Union.
So that's hilarious. So I was looking at that and saying, you know what there needs to be? There's that fantasy app. I think it's called the Fantasy Life. If somebody just rolls their ankle, you get a notification on your phone in 5 minutes, or I'm sorry, in 5 seconds. There needs to be a push notification when the new so the same way on my Yahoo Fantasy app, I can hit star for Mike Williams news. So if Mike Williams news happens to hit, it hits me. If you're looking for specific players or specific types of markets, you star that. When new ones pop, you get a notification. And why do I say that? Because within 7 minutes, the Allen Lazard over 1.5 catches went from minus 105 on Fanduel to like minus 160, minus 150. You have 7 minutes. And there's a reason I tell people the NHL is king. It's because you have 7 days. Like you just watched the tape from The Ring. You got plenty of time to still get that bucket list done before getting that bet in. But the NFL, it is cutthroat. It's like going to the UFC and trying to win the heavyweight title. That's what the NFL is. But with money, it doesn't matter. I go over to that random Japanese organization. I win their title in the NHL. Guess what? The dollars are the dollars. And I'm just, what he said about the preseason, I'm just trying to say it's probably a lot better than trying to snake Allen Lazard in those 7 minutes you have to get a good price on it.
And you're saying 7 minutes after news breaks, right?
No, 7 minutes after Allen Lazard's over 1.5 catches was listed, the price just moved dramatically because people were probably hammering.
Right after it got posted.
Yes, but it's a mystery when these Gainwell props come out. He was never in question. It was never tied to somebody's health status. It's just like, oh, those freaks. Samaje Perine opening night, his receptions were listed like 3 hours before the game time. But if you happen to be out doing something and you checked 40 minutes after it was posted, you already missed the best prices on it. So we need the push notifications for things that you're looking for when they pop.
That's a great call. Yeah. When they come live, when they come on the board, get a notification for it. I like that a lot. It's solid. It's a great way to get limited, but it's also solid, and I like it.
Hey, these people are parlaying. They're parlaying everything. You think they're betting $750 on the Kenneth Gainwell over 3.5 receptions? No, I don't think that's the case.
Do you like Cincinnati here or the Chiefs? Mind you, there's still 6s out there. I think there were a day ago.
So my favorite bet in this one is, I found it a day or two ago. It's probably over 3. The same way you're seeing 5.5s and 6s. I want to take Kansas City minus 2.5 for the first half for a multitude of reasons. You could say the Bengals' record against them, this, that, and that. In every single game, these Bengals just claw their way back in the second half of the games. Even the playoff game.
They do.
Both of the playoff games. Kansas City comes out and they just lay on the points. Other than one game that was in Cincinnati, but every single game that was in Kansas City, this is how they take shape. Burrow never just drives down there and gets up on them. So could he come back in the second half? Potentially. I mean, that's what he's done. But without T. Higgins, the way he's played in the first couple of weeks over these last 4 seasons, the fact that Chase has his weird kind of situation, the wrist kind of concerns and, the video and all that stuff, probably not much to that. But also Kansas City having 10 days to prepare for the game. And Mahomes secretly kind of hates them because people were holding that thing over Burrowville, and that one win isn't going to quell that kind of inner noise. I really like them in the first half.
Okay, so let's take this a step further then. Do you like the Bengals in the second half? Because the second half money line on the Bengals right now is plus 150.
I want
the second half spread, if you're willing to pay a little bit extra, is Bengals plus 3.5.
I want to say yes. If this was week 7, and Higgins was there. But when I think of every time Burrow was successful against them, it's because he was able to utilize both of those matchups. Higgins and Chase came up with so many big plays in every one of those wins and even in the lone loss. And when you remove one of those two from the equation, it looked ugly last week. And man, going into a rested Cincinnati team who's been waiting 10 days, I just don't have the balls, unfortunately. I don't.
Okay.
But it is the right side. I'll tell you that now.
It's for sure the right side. It is for sure the right side.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, and I know you've pointed this out, but Joe Burrow's history against Patrick Mahomes is pretty remarkable, isn't it? I mean, every time he's faced Mahomes, they've played 4 times. And there has never been a game that was not decided, or that was decided, by more than 3 points. Bengals overtime win in the playoffs. Bengals 3-point win. Bengals 3-point win. Bengals 3-point loss in the playoffs. Those are the 4 Mahomes-Burrow matchups. So is it possible that Mahomes just comes out and shits all over this Bengals team? Absolutely. I mean, sure. But at the same time, Patrick Mahomes, and this is 6 in a lot of places still right now. So if you're taking the Bengals, grab the 6. If you're grabbing Kansas City, obviously 5.5. 6 is still a key number. If you're looking at the Bengals at 6, Mahomes wins games, and they covered last week barely. And I think, Andy, to your point, when you say right side, like everyone looks at this team as they can't be stopped. They're a juggernaut. They will buzzsaw through everybody, which in many cases is true, but football's just so weird. And Mahomes has not covered well, or Andy Reid, as big favorites, as sizable favorites. These games usually stay pretty close. So Bengals plus 6. I lean Bengals plus 6 in this game. I love your first and second half calls, though. They make a lot of sense.
I mean, do you remember those games? They looked like blowouts at certain points.
Yeah, awesome games, all of them, too.
Yeah, unbelievable. But I mean, it's just like a microcosm of the Bengals' years. Slow starts
Always.
And then coming on. I mean, those games play out like their seasons do. And if it happens like that again, then yeah. And I think I'm taking Rashee Rice's overs until I see something to tell me otherwise. Like, what is it, 60 something again? I mean, he is so nasty after the catch. Kelsey looks a step slower. Worthy gets hit on these, very particular routes. And that defense did not look so great for Cincinnati. I think I'm just riding this until it loses or until the total gets moved up to a point where he gets treated like a true number 1 wide receiver.
No issues with that at all. I like Pacheco over 64.5 rushing yards, too. After what we saw Ramondre Stevenson do to this Bengals defense last week, after how I saw against a good run defense in Baltimore, Pacheco just extra effort, 100% effort on every single play. And now you're going up against a very suspect defense, played 81% of snaps last week. That is Isaiah Pacheco. He's the clear bell cow in this offense. I like that number quite a bit. I like Pacheco a lot this week.
So something we're going to do on this show, it stemmed from last year. And once Alex is back, he'll be the determiner of what the saying is. But last year, I had you guess what a bigwig was. because you're kind of fascinated on these random Snapple facts type of things. And I opened one of my videos saying, I don't know if it tickles your fancy. And then I just stopped saying, what does that actually mean? I go, you know what? I'm going to wait and ask Dave, and we're going to play a game. And I just didn't look it up. So right now, me and you are going to take a regular guy, a Dan guess at the origin of Tickle My Fancy. What is it in reference to? Tickle My Fancy.
I think, all right. And by the way, I think both of us appreciate finding the origins of these obscure sayings. The reason I like them, not to filibuster here, the reason I like them is because we say them in regular, like everyday life all the time, right? Like it's normal, but you never stop to think, what does it mean? When I had we had my first kid 3 years ago, and I have a 9-month-old as well. I started looking at the nursery rhymes, and I go, my God, these are all morbid and about death and despair. It's crazy. All of them. So that's why I like it.
Fascinating. Another reason it's fascinating is because we see sayings come in. How many people are calling things chuggy anymore? Are you still hearing that? No cap. It will all be gone. The same way 90s sayings are gone, and the same way 2000 sayings are gone. Yet these ones from 1725,
timeless.
They're still tickling our fancy. So where? I mean, I got to admit, this is a hard one. I don't even know
so difficult.
where to start.
I don't even have a starting point.
My first thought is a feather pen. A feather pen with that traditional, like, foot tickle torture. So it tickled my guess is.
But what's the fancy?
So my
your fancy.
Yeah, my official guess is that they took a feather pen, or it's not a feather pen, but they took a feather and tickled the area that was that a person like felt like when someone scratches your back or something, the area that an individual fancied. Tickle My Fancy, my preferred area to be kind of caressed. It's all. What do you want me to say? It's all I got.
Dude, that's a fantastic guess. I mean, that is a really good guess. I don't think I can do any better than that at all.
This is a lose-lose. We're getting crushed by the final answer.
I mean, you even went feather pen, but yeah, if you're saying where if you're saying like a spot that you fancy, but like that, do people like being tickled? Pull it up. I got to know. Pull it up.
Here we go. I discovered that the idiom "tickle my fancy" what pleases you was originally a double entendre. The term "fancy" was a euphemism for fanny.
Dude, I was gonna say tickled the ass because I was thinking fanny, but fancy isn't. I swear to God, I was gonna say I should have gone with your torture thing, but I'm like fancy isn't fanny, so I bailed. I got nervous.
I can't believe
but I was thinking ass, not vagina, so I did not know that. So essentially, this means getting fingered. Right? Fancy, it means vagina with a pun on the sense of sexual desire. It means getting pleasured. Sexually, of course.
Well, I mean, right on cue. If I ask you for our second trivia question to name me something that starts with a P and ends in a Y and we all love it, what would your answer be to that one?
Well, I mean, there's the obvious answer. Trying to think of something creative here. I'm not going to be vulgar on the show, Andy. Do you have one?
Well, you have to fight for your right.
To party, sure.
To parlay. That's what we're going to do right now. And we're going to end off with one last bet that tickles your fancy. You probably talked about it on your show. But what's something that you really like heading into this weekend that the Parlay Pirates can add to the old card?
Sure. If you're trying to keep it simple, I like under on Rashad White rushing yards. I'll throw one more at you though, Andy. There is plus 290 out there on Mark Andrews to score a touchdown. I just think the market has soured too much on him. Going into week 2, the Chiefs have always doubled him, tried to take him out of games, always. And now you go into a spot where you've got a big total. You're almost double-digit favorites at home. You talked about Olave being the squeaky wheel. I don't think it's as intense with the Mark Andrews, but I don't think he's just disappearing after 1 week. Plus 290. If you're trying to get insane, Mark Andrews 2+ touchdowns is 30-1 on Fanduel. It might be 29 or 28 now. I haven't seen if it moved, but I will be taking a shot on Mark Andrews anytime touchdown because I just think there's been an overreaction there. I don't think he's dead after 1 game.
Thank you so much, Dave, for coming back. We'll be back with you again week 3. I have my guy Alex back, so I don't have to be DJing. But I was never cut out to be a DJ. But make sure you subscribe to the channel here, like and comment on this video, and I'm going to have Dave's stuff here over at Odd Shopper. Check down in the link below. I'll put his Twitter there as well, and then it will pop up at the end of the video, probably right about now. So if you see it, click it, and we will see you next week. Thanks again, Dave.